When Evan Mercer, 14 years old, finally bought GTA 6 with his own savings, he felt unstoppable. He'd spent a year mowing lawns, cleaning garages, and fixing neighbors' bikes. Every dollar had gone into a jar labeled VI. Release day was chaos. Hundreds of people at the mall, shouting, cheering, sprinting. Evan squeezed through the crowd, grabbed a copy from the shelf, paid, and bolted home. His parents weren't happy he bought it. They'd always been strangely strict about violent games, acting like they were dangerous in ways Evan couldn't understand. But since he used his own money, they reluctantly let him keep it. That night, Evan stayed up playing until almost 2 a.m. The game was everything he hoped for. No glitches, no strange characters, nothing supernatural or weird. The horror had nothing to do with the game itself. It started the next afternoon. While Evan walked home from school, he noticed a man standing across the street from his house. An old man, maybe late 60s, tall and thin, wearing a long brown coat even though it wasn't cold. He wasn't doing anything. He was just standing, facing the Mercer house. Evan assumed he was waiting for someone, but when Evan passed him, the man turned his head slightly to watch him walk by. Evan sped up. When he looked back through the window after going inside, the old man was gone. 2 days later, Evan saw him again. This time, the old man was closer, standing right at the end of their driveway. Same coat, same expressionless face, same vacant stare. Evan grabbed his mother and pointed outside, but by the time she reached the window, the man had vanished again. She brushed off his fear, saying it was probably a lost neighbor or someone confused. That night, Evan had trouble sleeping. Around 1 a.m., he got up to get water and froze when he passed by the front door. Through the narrow window in the door frame, he saw a silhouette. The old man stood in their yard, not moving, not knocking, just watching the house. Evan backed away slowly and locked himself in his room. He didn't tell his parents this time. They clearly didn't believe him. But the stalking got worse. The old man followed him on the walk to school, always keeping the same distance, 20 to 30 feet behind, never speaking, never speeding up, never slowing down. Just walking, watching. Evan started taking longer routes. The old man always found him. Some nights, Evan would hear faint footsteps in the backyard after midnight. He never saw anything through the blinds, but the crunch of footsteps on leaves was unmistakable. Finally, one evening after dinner, Evan heard something that made his skin crawl, the creak of the back gate opening. He looked outside. The old man stood at the far end of the backyard, holding something long and metallic in his hand. Evan panicked and ran to his parents, shaking and begging them to call the police. This time, something in his voice made them take him seriously. His father went outside with a flashlight, and the man was gone. The police took a report, promising extra patrols, but that night, the old man broke into the house. Evan woke to the sound of slow, heavy footsteps creaking up the stairs. He cracked his door open and saw the old man climbing the staircase, gripping a rusted crowbar. His coat was torn, his face sunken, his eyes wild. Evan slammed his door, locked it, and climbed out the window onto the roof of the porch. He dropped into the bushes and ran barefoot to the neighbor's house, pounding on the door until they let him in. The police arrived minutes later and arrested the old man after a brief struggle. Evan thought the nightmare was finally over. He was wrong, because the real horror came 3 months later. During the trial, Evan sat in the courtroom while lawyers argued over the charges: breaking and entering, attempted assault, stalking a minor. The old man sat at the defense table, silent and hollow-eyed. But everything changed when the old man's attorney called him to the stand. The courtroom went still as the old man slowly rose, trembling, and took the oath. When the lawyer asked why he had targeted Evan, the old man began to cry, a broken, raspy sound that shivered through the room. And then he revealed the truth. Evan's parents had hired him. They paid him to steal the game. Not just any game, that copy of GTA 6, Evan's specific disc. They told him the game was dangerous, that it would corrupt Evan, that they needed someone to break in, take it, and scare him enough to keep him away from violent games forever. But the old man wasn't stable. He'd just been released from a psychiatric hospital 2 weeks earlier. He took their money, but misunderstood their instructions. Instead of stealing the game and leaving, he became obsessed with protecting Evan from everything. In his mind, the only way to keep the boy safe from the world was to eliminate him entirely. The courtroom erupted into shouting. Evan's parents stood up, denying everything, but the old man produced text messages, payment records, and recorded voicemails. They were arrested on the spot. Evan stared at them in disbelief as officers handcuffed them. His mother sobbed. His father refused to look at him. The old man was sentenced to a mental health facility. His parents were charged with conspiracy, child endangerment, and hiring someone to commit a crime. Evan was placed under the care of relatives. He kept the GTA 6 disc locked in a drawer, not because he was afraid of the game, but because it reminded him that the scariest part of the whole experience wasn't the stalking, the break-in, or the old man's attacks. It was realizing the person trying to steal the game from him wasn't a stranger. It was realizing his parents were willing to sacrifice his safety to control him. And even today, when Evan occasionally looks out the window late at night, he swears he still sees a figure standing at the edge of the yard. Tall, thin, motionless, just watching. But he tells himself it's just his imagination, because the alternative is too terrifying to consider.